Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to What I Thunk of Strafe. Oh boy, I've been waiting a while to do this one. It's been a fair few years since that first trailer come out. It was hard to miss. Everyone was talking about it. I mean, how can you ignore a 90s as fuck live-action trailer that features a kid playing the most extreme FPS ever and having his head literally explode into bloody chunks? That's the kind of thing that tends to stick in the old memory hole. I even had a go at that extremely early alpha demo of the game, which gave you one level and challenged you to complete it as fast as possible, appropriately named the Speed Zone. It was kinda broke, bugs all over, occasionally choppy in the frame rate department, and the devs freely admitted it. After all, it was an alpha version. It can be forgiven for being in an extremely rough state at that point. It was clear where its intentions lay though. It wanted to be a throwback of sorts, taking inspiration from the classics such as Doom and Quake. Fast forward a few years however, and we now have the retail release of Strafe, featuring such 90s FPS staples as being a procedurally generated roguelite, where the only weapon you can keep is the one you pick at the start, and possibly the greatest sin of them all, the fact that you actually have to reload the damn thing. I mean, come on, reloading? The hell are you guys smoking? Well, at least visually, it's a throwback. More chunky polygons than you can shake a ray trace stick at. Enemies and environments certainly have that old school look to them. There's a half-decent variety as you rampage across the 4 themed zones featuring mindless gluttons, spider bots, alien freaks, gun-toting crazy people, flying jellyfish, and many other things that are very eager to make you die. Anyway, let's start at the beginning, shall we? We kick things off by picking one of the 3 available starting weapons. You can either pick from a shotgun, a machine gun, or a railgun. And then after that, you head into the teleporter and get your ass to Icarus. No relation. Just happens to be the name of the first zone of the game, teeming with gluttons, spider bots, assholes with guns, and douchebags that like to ambush you from the ceiling. It's not very long before you realize that the title of the game, Strafe, which refers to the classic tactic of circle strafing around your enemy to avoid projectiles, seems to be a little inaccurate here. If they really wanted to name the game after the main kind of movement you'll be engaging in on the regular here, they'd probably have named it Backstep. But yeah, it doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? The enemies in Strafe are pretty damn dumb though, which doesn't seem that much of an issue when you remember the relative smarts of your average Quake or Doom enemy, but Strafe somehow feels like it manages to lower that bar. As soon as enemies become aware of your presence, the vast majority make a rapid beeline for your face. This would be fine if you had room to actually maneuver, you know, strafe like the title implies, but the cramped corridors of the early stages means that all you'll be doing is continuously backing up while attempting to liberate heads from shoulders with your chosen weapon. As a result, it doesn't feel much like progress, it feels like constant retreat, and that feeling generally sucks. It probably doesn't help either that when it comes to shooting a gun, you start off relatively bad at it. Your stats here determine your effectiveness, and you start each run in Strafe at a baseline. You have to build those stats up through items collected from boxes scattered around levels, and you best be firing that machine gun in short, steady bursts, that railgun with a 3rd degree of accuracy, and that shotgun at very close range if you want to be effective in that early part of the game. Also, don't forget to reload. It's something that's always preferable to do manually here, because if you let the game do it for you, you'll have to wait a few beats as your character pulls the trigger, waits a beat, and then finally decides to reload the damn gun. It may only be a difference of a few seconds, but when you're backing away from a horde of idiots real eager to hit you in the face with a wrench, it can feel like an eternity. Same mechanic pops up for the alt-fire. The machine gun has a grenade launcher, the shotgun has some kind of shrapnel round, and the railgun rips off the shock rifle from Unreal Tournament, where you have to shoot the orb that you've just charged up and fired in order for it to be truly effective. Oh, and if you flub the charge, you have to reload and start all over again. Fun. Not to mention the guns in general just feel pretty weak. There's no serious dacker to the machine gun, even when you've upgraded it favorably. There's no satisfying boom to the shotgun, and the railgun, oh, poor railgun. What did you do to deserve being nerfed like this? You get 5 shots per clip, an agonizing reload, and the rounds themselves don't even have the good grace to penetrate multiple enemies. In fact, I'm still trying to figure out the rationale behind those 3 starting weapons. I was looking at them maybe in terms of starting difficulty, the shotgun being easy, machine gun medium, and railgun hard. If anything, they all just feel equally gimped and not very satisfying to wield at all. It's a small mercy then that you can pick up unique weaponry during the course of your run, ranging from actually competent shotguns, railguns, and machine guns, up to grenade launchers, hand cannons, nail guns, rocket launchers, and various other exotic types. Once you've done with them, you dump them, often by hitting an enemy over the head with it, which I have to admit can be occasionally satisfying. Upgrades to your primary weapons are also available during runs, and something you'll soon learn to be wary of because some of them can actually suck an incredible amount of ass. One upgrade to your machine gun alt-fire changes it into a remote mine, which is slower to deploy than the standard grenade, and by the time you trigger it, the enemy is usually far out of range. The gas grenade upgrade to the shotgun is just a flat out downgrade to me. You take a shrapnel round that bounces all over the place, decapitating enemies, spraying blood on the walls, and you replace it with a grenade that generates what might as well be a small, easily avoidable fart cloud wherever it lands. Granted, there are much more beneficial upgrades, but figuring out which ones are worth the plunge will result in a run becoming much more troublesome. Thankfully, you can revert your weapon at the scrap recycler, machines that occasionally spawn where you can exchange collected scrap for ammo or armor. You'll never need ammo, to be honest, unless you're colossally reckless, but when it comes to the armor, this is probably what you'll be spending the most to replenish. Irritatingly, the dispenser icons are actually misleading. The full armor button only gives you 50%, and the half armor button gives you 20%. That right there is the kind of thing that makes a game feel unfair, that it's just taking the piss. Speaking of taking the piss, God forbid you have a run featuring a high concentration of enemies that have a habit of spraying the yellow stuff all over the place, and boy, do they spray. If it's yellow, it's corrosive, and walking over it will sap even more of that precious armor and health. It feels like a particularly bad fuck you when you expend a great deal of effort clearing out a room, taking care of whatever spewer happens to be about, only to kick the bucket thanks to a rogue puddle of piss you happen to step in on the way out. At some points, it just gets flat out excessive, multiple spewers just caking a place in yellow. It's the kind of thing that would be nowhere near as irritating if it just, evaporated away after a while. Moving on from that particular hang-up, considering this is a roguelite and all, you'll of course run into the occasional item shop where you can spend credits on various items. Something to protect yourself against the aforementioned piss, maybe. Jetpacks for double jumps, boosters for side dodges, boots for stomping on heads like a hyper-violent Mario. Regen packs, various other bits and bobs. It's a mixed bag, as you'd expect. Not everything can be truly useful, and you'll probably find yourself leaning towards those items with more overt, obvious benefits, such as maybe the shoulder cannon that fires additional shots, or a blast shield that pings off whenever you have to reload. As with many things in a roguelite style game, it's mostly down to trial and error and experimentation to find out what truly works for you. Another thing that you'll find in the item shop are teleporter parts, and these are to, well, fix the teleporters at the end of each zone, though you'll need at least 2 runs minimum for the parts required to fix that one teleporter, considering you can only usually buy one at a time. A repaired teleporter means that you'll be able to start at that zone instead of right at the beginning. The kicker being that while you get to skip all the combat of Zone 1, for example, you'll also skip all of the potential stat boosts littered around, meaning you'll be fighting the harder enemies in subsequent zones with less accuracy, damage, fire rate, all that jazz than if you'd just gone from the start. As far as roguelites go, Strafe feels even lighter on those elements than you'd probably expect. I mean, sure, you've got the incremental powering up of your character as you progress during a run, you've got the item shop, you've got permadeath, but the one thing that Strafe doesn't seem to take full advantage of is the unlock system, where your attempt, even if it results in failure, can reward you with something new waiting for you in the next run, expanding the experience, making it feel more replayable. It just seems like a really curious omission. Keeping that in mind, there's a game mode tucked away in a DOS prompt style menu here called Murder Zone, and bafflingly, It seems to do a much better job of actually being a roguelite than the main game itself. Basically, Murder Zone is Horde mode. You start in a main room of your choosing, styled after the zones of the main game, and you just kill everything in the room till it runs out of enemies to throw at you. You get points conveyed in gallons of blood, different amounts for killing different enemy types, and basically you see how far you can go, topping out at 10 rooms of blood-drenched mayhem. After you die, the points pump into an unlock system, and each tier adds something beneficial to the main room afterwards, such as a scrap converter, item selection between rounds, additional guns, and it just gives you a much better sense of progression and achievement over that of the main game itself, and that to me is quite frankly ass backwards. To say that this is my preferred mode to play in Strafe does not, however, mean that everything works hunky-dory here. Far from it. This mode, along with the rest of the game at time of writing, is prone to significant issues. Depending on what arena you choose, you may suffer from horrendous framerate lag, you'll get visual glitches all over the shop in certain cases, and you'll also be able to witness the occasional instance of shockingly dumb pathfinding AI. That's less of a bug, more just shoddy construction. The kind of thing on certain stages that you can abuse for your own gain, rendering the challenge completely moot as your enemies just willingly drown in lakes of piss. I say you could abuse it if the game didn't crash mid-session on a fairly often basis, erasing all of that lovely progress that you could have pumped back into the Murder Zone unlock system. Can you guess that I've suffered through that a fair few times now? I probably would have been done with the main campaign of Strafe 2 by now if it wasn't for the constant drip feed of bullshit it flings at me. Spawning bugs can result in you taking damage from enemies that have managed to materialize in the floor or walls of a starting area. The layout of certain levels can occasionally just get you stuck on part of the geometry, and probably most frustrating of all, items that are vital to progression, such as this battery here, will spawn in such a way that it is physically impossible to retrieve it. It's shit like this that makes me hate a game. A well-made game is a game that doesn't give you any excuses for your own failure. It's entirely down to you and your skill at playing it. You can go as far as you want, provided you simply get good at playing it. Strafe is not that game. They released it a year too early. They jumped the gun. Clearly, there are just far too many issues here to simply hand-wave them away, and these are the kind of things that could have been caught with diligent and thorough testing. It seems all that time and money that could have been allocated to that particular aspect of development was spent fucking around making a 5-minute live-action short film instead. Oh, you think I'm joking? Go check it out, honestly. It's got a better concept for the game than the game itself. I'd rather play something inspired by that. Thing is, though, if you take away the bugs, the crashes, the performance issues, what you're left with is a game that is still ultimately painfully average. If it worked as intended, I could probably focus a little more on the aspects of Strafe that I actually enjoyed. I mean, I really enjoy the music. It's pretty damn great. I could listen to that all the damn time, independent of the game. I even enjoyed the way that the zones dovetail from one into another. It's neat. In its current state, however, all I'm left with are the things that just manage to annoy the shit out of me instead. And as you've probably gathered by now, there's a fair amount of them. I haven't even mentioned the ridiculous weapon sway, the lifts that seem to come down the wrong way when you get to a new Icarus stage, the fact that caking a room in too much blood and body parts actually tanks the frame rate here, that the levels are an uninspired clusterfuck of elements thanks to the quirks of procedural generation, and have you seen the way they managed to present the minimap here and the inventory displays? It's a terrible idea, it looks awful. What were you thinking? So, yeah. I don't think I can recommend you spending your hard-earned cash on this one, folks. Not right now, definitely not right now. No matter how hyped the trailers might have gotten you, no matter how much hankering you might have for some sweet 90s FPS nostalgia, I'd say wait another 6 months or something. Wait for it to go on sale. See if they fixed everything that needed to be fixed. Even see if they add meat to what I consider relatively slim pickings in this current package, and then maybe give it a whirl. Or even better, just pick up Doom. Pick up Doom, pick up Quake, play the shit out of those, and you know what, play the shit out of all of the mods available for them too. You'll probably have a more reliably enjoyable time. But anyway, that is what I thunk of Strafe. At the very least, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe Strafe was everything you could have ever wanted, in which case, be sure to let everyone know about your terrible taste in video games. But this has been Mr. Icarus. This has been What I Thunk. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.